carried out and shit. So I'm very happy. Um, there's a lot of stuff that I feel like I could tighten up on in that performance. And but like I said, I'm just lucky that I could walk out of there and I'm conscious and uh, nothing broke. I don't think so. I'm happy.
I was going to ask you, I noticed you were moving a little gingerly there to get in the chair. As you said, a lot of people get hurt against him. But do you think it's anything that's going to keep you out for any length of time, or what is the condition right now?
Oh, it's going to be a while. I'm going to need a little bit of time, just ice stuff and whatnot. But I'm okay.
Nice. Any surprises at all? I mean, you lived up to, you said you'd strike with him, you did. Obviously, your ground game was there. But, I mean, any surprises in the performance tonight from him or from you?
I was surprised I couldn't check his leg kicks. It's just like I kind of resorted to just getting the hell out of the way because in my head I'm like, oh, I'm gonna hold my ground and check his leg kicks, and it's just like I don't know how the hell he was doing that, but I would go to check and it just didn't work, and so I just resorted just moving out of the way completely. That's always a good strategy when something big is coming at you, if you can.
And you showed a lot of respect afterwards. I'm just curious if you could share the details of that conversation, kind of what was shared there.
Right after the fight, I just said that how much I respected him. I told him he was a legend, and then he said he respected me as well. And I said I just love that, you got wife and kids. I said that's something that's just, I'd love to be there at that point in my life one day, so I can look up to him in that aspect. And I said, I love how you love God. And I said, would you like to say a prayer? And we said a prayer.
That's amazing. And then on the mic, you use your mic time to do a pretty amazing gesture. Talk about giving away 50% of your purse to charity. I'm just curious, I guess, kind of what your motivation, why that charity, and just, I mean, that's not an insignificant amount of money, obviously.
Yeah, Dana White came up to me after the fight, and he said, don't give your money. I'm going to give the $45,000. And I'm still going to give some money, but he told me, he said, don't give any of your money. It's going to be mine, and I'm going to take care of it. And I'm still going to do something because I just need to. But there will be more than $45,000. We have people coming out of the woodwork. And so I'm planting a seed, and we're going to watch this thing grow. And, it's all about giving back. Like I said, this ain't going to be about just hurting people. When I'm done, we're going to help people.
Why was that charity the one that was important to you?
Well, children are some of the most precious things on the planet, brother. I mean, and I see so much evil and wickedness in the world and so much greed and people killing for money, and it makes me sick. I want to do the exact opposite. And do you know what the greatest thing that I can do in that cage is? It's inspire. That's the greatest thing that I can do in that cage is inspire people. And let me tell you why. Because me, by myself, I really can't do shit. My $45,000, when it comes to medical professions, really ain't shit. That shit's gone in one surgery. That shit's gone in a couple skin grafts. You see what I'm saying? But if I can inspire you and you and you and you and you, then it's limitless. You see what I'm saying? It keeps going. It's perpetual. And so the greatest thing that I can do is inspire, and I really feel like I've done that, and I really feel like I owe that to God.
That's pretty amazing. So is this going to be kind of a core philosophy for the rest of your fighting career?
Every time I fight, there will be children healed through the fight. Yeah.
That's awesome. Last thing for me, obviously that's amazing, but we do have to talk about your fighting career. I mean, you're climbing up the ranks, right? I mean, have you thought about, I know you want to heal up, take some time, but are there names? Is there a date? I mean, where do you feel like you belong now that, you've picked up this big win?
Well, I feel like I want a title shot, but, I'm just waiting in the lunch line, I'm not going to try to cut in the lunch line. I'm just doing everything that I got to do to earn my spot, and, obviously I'm going to say title shot if you ask me what I want.
I don't know if you're someone that watches tape, but a lot of people online saying that this fight looked very reminiscent of Edson's fight against Khabib. He just couldn't get up for 3 rounds. So, A, are you someone that did watch tape, and is that you saw weaknesses from his past fights that you could exploit?
Yes, when you're watching an enemy, you need to and he's no longer an enemy, by the way. He's my brother now, you know. But in that cage, in that 15 minutes, he is the enemy. And yeah, you have to respect his strengths, and you have to know his weaknesses. And you have to know your strengths, and you have to know your weaknesses.
Now that fight week is over. How was this whole fight week experience for you? You were pretty heavily included in the embeddeds. You got a big pop from the crowd. 20,000 people just watched you beat Edson Barbosa. So now that it's over, how was fight week, this whole experience for you?
Really, my vocabulary and my words and stuff really don't do it justice, brother. It was so amazing that I just feel like my life has a purpose, and it's awesome.
Hey, Bryce, right here in the back.
What's up, brother?
So I touched on a little bit during media day, but I want to ask you, you talked about one day you do want to see yourself, and you imagine yourself, well, what would it be like in those big fights, in the title fights, in the #1 contender fights? And I want to ask you, how do you imagine it? When you think about how you see yourself there, what do you see in your imagination?
I see myself having the ability to beat anybody. And of course, there's going to be obstacles, and anybody has the ability to beat me too. That's the flip side of that coin. But through proper preparation and sacrifice and hard work, like I said, I have the ability to beat anybody.
What parts of your game are you most proud of in the growths that you've made in the gym and just growing as a martial artist?
I'm the most proud of my people around me, the coaches and the teammates that have been with me since I started.
And my final question, obviously faith is something, it's like a merry-go-round. You can't just be on when it's good. You have to be there when it's bad also. Just how do you keep your faith strong on tough times and in good ones?
That's when my faith was the strongest, is when I was at my lowest, actually. So you're absolutely right about that. That's what made me what I am, and is reaching the lowest points in my life and then climbing back up.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just to touch upon that a little bit, you said that you were a warrior of God, and I'm just wondering, at what point in your life did he recruit you?
It was pretty recently, and it was pretty amazing.
How recent? Can you tell us a story?
Within the last year, and there's a lot of stories with it, but when I get down and I pray and I have proper prayer, there's been multiple times where I just feel like just invigorated by like the Holy Spirit. I feel invincible.
Last one from me. When you dropped to Edson, what was going through your mind then?
I just remember to stay calm and not give up any position, and not to waste my gas, because I know he can recover. I knew he would recover, or he could. I wanted to finish him, but I knew not to do anything stupid, and that's 5 years ago. I'd have gone crazy. I'd have gone out there and just, but probably would have wasted my gas tank and gave him an opportunity to give up. So I visualized doing that. I visualized dropping him, and I visualized, before I dropped him, I visualized dropping him. And I visualized myself staying calm and making the most tactical decision that I could.
I've got one more. Sorry about this.
Don't be sorry, brother. This is what makes a sport, brother. Without people asking questions, we don't spread the word, and we don't give people what they want. What do you got to ask, brother? I'd love it.
I was going to ask, what did you make to Colby and Masvidal? Did you think that fight went as expected? I mean,
I wasn't too surprised, and man, they beat each other up. I was surprised by that, but I knew that Colby could wrestle, and I was hoping that I thought that if Jorge would hold in the middle of the octagon and he wouldn't get pressed up on the cage, that's how he would stop takedowns. But he kept getting backed up to the cage, and so that was one thing I was kind of surprised about, is that he could not hold the center as well as he wanted to, I'm sure. But yeah, man, they beat each other up. That was a fight.
Bryce, over here. You had a pretty long layoff. Were you worried about ring rust at all?
No, I actually felt a lot better in there for whatever reason. I didn't feel like nervous at all, and I think that's just part of me accepting my destiny and realizing who I am and what I'm supposed to do.
You were recently on the MMA Hour. What was the reception to that interview like?
Oh, Ariel Hawani's?
Yeah.
Well, he didn't completely censor me, but he put that I was spreading misinformation, and I don't know. You know, I thought I said a lot of true stuff, but it's open to a debate, and you know, I love the Second Amendment, and I love the First. And you know why we have the First? Because we have the Second.
Thoughts on the Canadian truckers at all?
I love them.
All right, thanks, Bryce. All
Thank
for
you.
me.
Thank you. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate you guys and girls. Ladies, I mean.
Oh, what's up, guys? Let's see. Holland and Moroz were the performance of the night. Covington and Masvidal was the fight of the night. The attendance was 19,425. It was a complete sellout. That's the 11th consecutive pay-per-view sellout. Gate was 6.76 million. And this is number 7 all time here at the arena, and number 14 all time for the UFC. John Morgan, yeah.
What's going on? Well, obviously you gave it fight of the night, so I'm assuming you were impressed by the main event. But just give us your thoughts on Colby's performance and you know what he did in this fight tonight.
Yeah, I thought it was a great fight. Obviously, Masvidal's wrestling was better than I expected it to be. His cardio was better than I expected it to be, and you know, it was a tough fight for both guys.
Yeah. The crowd obviously either loves him or hates him, but they're definitely reacting to him. I mean, do you feel at this point, do you consider him one of the biggest stars in the company?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the thing is, too, is that after a while, no matter how much you hate him, you at least got to respect him. I mean, the guy keeps winning fights, and he's a tough dude.
You've had some bad words to say about him at times over the years. What do you think about Colby?
What do you mean? What do I think about? I mean, I don't know if I've had any bad words to say about him. I said he's an asshole.
That's not a bad
No, he's an asshole. Does anybody disagree with that? I mean, he would probably even agree with that.
I would agree.
Yeah, no, I respect the kid. Yeah.
Do you have any concerns with his brand of promotion? I know you say bad things are said, but you know, like Jorge's whole thing was, hey man, the line was crossed. You don't talk about family. You don't talk about kids. Do you believe there is a line?
I agree with that too. It's called man code. You either have it or you don't. Yeah.
Where do you see next for Colby? I mean, obviously he's 0-2 against the champ right now, but he called out Dustin Poirier. Is that a matchup that interests you in any way?
I don't know. You know, he's in a very weird situation. Having lost to Usman twice, you know, Usman's lapping everybody. I don't know. We got to see what's next and talk to Colby and see what he really wants to do. You know, if you fight Poirier, then what?
Kamaru.
There has to be some type of, he has to go in some type of direction. Whether is he gonna go to 55 and fight it? You know what I mean? I don't know. We got to talk.
Well, I was going to ask you, 'cause Kamaru yesterday did a Q&A, and he was like, I kind of see myself fighting Colby again at some point. I mean, do you totally rule it out because it's 0-2, or do you still say, well, maybe it could get to there at some point?
I don't know. Listen, if he stays at 170, he keeps winning. I mean, eventually you got to give the kid a shot again.
I did want to ask you about Renato Moicano. Do you have a medical update yet? Is it too soon?
Yeah, he's the only transport tonight. He was transported, and yeah, we'll make sure that he gets triple checked and take care of him.
I think you had to step out during the end of that fight. It looked like you left cage side.
Yeah,
so I didn't. Did you see it? Because I was just kind of wondering what you thought. Because man, it felt like maybe that fight could have been stopped. Maybe not.
I agree. It could have been stopped a couple times, and just Moicano was one of those guys that's just so tough. It could have been stopped, and at the end of the 5th round, he started coming on, and you know, RDA was probably happy there wasn't one more round of that fight. You know what I mean? Moicano is the real deal, man. That's why we knew when we were making this fight, obviously if we could have got Islam to turn around, that would have been awesome, but until we even knew we had Islam, or thought we had Islam, Moicano was 100% the guy we wanted to go with.
I did want to ask you about Islam. Did he actually turn it? There seems to be some controversy over why he didn't get this fight.
There's no controversy. He turned the fight down.
He said no.
No.
Interesting. Okay. Last thing I did want to ask you about Bryce Mitchell. He was just here, and he said, his charitable gift that he was going to give. You said, don't give it. I'll cover it. So I'm just curious kind of what your motivation was. And I don't know if there's some – I know you guys do a ton of charity already, but when guys are so connected to something like that, is there like partnerships or things that you can do? But why were you motivated to say, hey, don't spend your money, I'll spend it?
Yeah, well, the kid, he's making 45 and 45 tonight. He's going to give 45 to the – and I respect that. And he said, we'll do it. We'll take care of it.
Hey, Dana, to your left. Your left. Curious what you thought of Colby striking. I mean, he seemed like in a lot of the exchanges he got the better of Masvidal, and obviously Jorge is is considered the better striker. Did that impress you? What you saw from him in that?
I expected that, actually. I expected that. That's Colby's style. He makes you worry about the takedown. I mean, he fought the exact fight that I thought he would fight tonight. He, you have to defend that takedown all night, so it sets up the striking for him.
And, that's a really tough fight for Jorge to get into because obviously the style is a complete, worst thing for him. And then he's got the champion in that division, the kind of the same thing with the wrestling. So where do you go with him? I mean, do you move him around and just, kind of cherry pick big fights for him, looking at since he has those two big guys ahead of him?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. We knew tonight whoever won and whoever lost, what would be next and where would they go. And I don't know. We're sitting right here right now. I don't know on either one of them, even Colby who won.
So when you negotiate this new contract with him the other day, you had to have an idea of, hey, well, if he loses, we still have a 4 or 5 fight deal, whatever it was with him.
We don't think that far ahead. We signed the kid, and you never know what the hell. It's like you guys will ask me every fucking press conference, what's going to happen after this? And
That's John Morgan.
True. What's going to happen after this and what's going to happen? I don't know. I have to see how the fight plays out. What kind of a fight is it? How did it go? And then I decide, with the team, what's going to happen next.
And I wonder about the pay-per-view. Obviously, Masvidal has been his numbers. I think he's averaging close to $1 million on pay-per-view prior to tonight. Did this one track to get to that kind of a number?
It's funny because we're talking. I mean, I just said that this is our 11th consecutive pay-per-view sell. I mean, this thing's on fire. It's just crazy. Ever since the pandemic, it's been nuts for us. And yeah, I mean, these guys. I was telling you guys how much money we were losing during COVID, COVID testing, and all the other bullshit that we had to go through, but all the pay-per-views were skewing higher than you had a guy who would normally fight and do 300,000 pay-per-view buys, and he was doing 7 or 8. And yeah, I mean the business is just kicking ass.
Well, did you have any indication that this one was going to be like that, where you had a number and that it did a lot better?
Yeah, I mean this thing outperformed the budget big time. I mean just the gate alone.
And finally, for me, do you know anything about what happened to I guess the broadcast went off for a while anyways during the fight. Do you know?
Yeah, it didn't go off for a while. It went off for a little bit on the second round. Yeah.
Dana, just one question over here. The Ringer MMA show on Spotify Green Room's been talking about this all week, and I'm wondering your thoughts on it. With all of the connections to Florida and the UFC's positive relationship with the state, why wasn't this fight done in Florida?
That's a good question. I think we owed Vegas a fight. It was the time that we had to do the fight in Vegas. We kind of lay these things out, throughout the year and decide where we think we're going to be in each month, and just landed on Vegas.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Dana over here on this side.
Yep.
A couple other impressive performances. Kevin Holland got his first win at welterweight. Sergey Spivak won in less than a round. Jalen Turner, Marina Rodriguez. So what did you make of the rest of the card for all these young fighters?
Well, I was excited about this card anyway. This was a great card as far as matchups went. And, yeah, everybody looked impressive tonight.
Joanna was also back here. She was a guest fighter for Scrum. She's saying she's still eyeing a fight with Wei Lee. Is that still the fight that you're hoping to make the rematch?
Yeah. That's the fight that makes sense.
Is there any headway on when that fight could happen? It seemed like she was just waiting for a date at this point.
Do we know the date on that one? Yeah, no. I was hoping he had something I didn't. He doesn't.
She was also talking about fighting at Allegiant Stadium and says that she might know something we don't. Do you know what she's talking about?
I do not.
Hamzat was also here. Did you guys talk about anything else besides confirming his fight with Gilbert?
No, that's it. Yeah, we got that done. It's locked in, and that's a fun card.
And finally, Darren Till was also here with him. Have you spoken with him about his return? Or
No, I haven't
still
seen
recovering?
Darren. I haven't seen Darren since he's been here. I knew that he was here with Hamzat, but I haven't seen him.
What do you make of that friendship? It seems like they're inseparable. At the
Yeah, no, I like it. Yeah.
Hey, Dana.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Khabib Nurmagomedov inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight. Usually doesn't show much emotion. What was his reaction when he came over there and graced him?
He was pissed off tonight. I don't know what happened to Khabib tonight. I kept telling him, what pissed you off tonight?
I think it was Tim.
Maybe.
Tim Elliott was holding.
Yeah. I think that might be it, too.
Greg Hardy's now lost 3 in a row, and they were all finishes. Wondering what your thoughts are on him and what his future is with the UFC.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll get in the room on Tuesday and figure that out.
Given the results of the main event, going into it, are you looking at Chimaev and Burns as the #1 contender fight in the welterweight division?
Makes sense.
Did Marina Rodriguez do enough tonight to be a #1 contender for the winner of Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas?
Makes sense.
And
You're
then-
making a lot of sense, Schmo.
Okay, then lastly, Nate Diaz. What's the likelihood he gets a new contract before we see him entering the octagon again?
The likelihood that Nate Diaz gets a new contract? Very good.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Dana, right here.
Yep.
Dana, I was wondering just your thoughts on Marina Moreau's big win. Obviously, coming from the Ukraine, she had a lot of emotions out there. The crowd really responded to her. I just wanted your thoughts outside of the fact that she got a bonus.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you want me to answer that question. I agree with you. It was an awesome performance, an awesome speech, and yeah.
This month, you guys are going to be traveling for fight nights for the first time since the pandemic, so I'm assuming it's very exciting. Could you just talk a little bit about what's the forecast look like on doing more traveling outside of the numbered events this year?
Yeah, well, as things start to open up and these different states that were tough to do business in make it much easier to do business in, we'll start going to, there's a lot of places to hit now. We just had to wait till all this goofy shit was over. It looks like it's getting over, so we're ready to roll.
Will there be more dates coming up in April, or is that still being decided?
Yeah, we don't have anything figured out yet, but we will. The other problem is as these states start to open up, you got all these different events that haven't happened, and there's still people that haven't put on an event since the pandemic, concerts and bands and things like that, and so a lot of these arenas are going to be packed, probably the first year and a half. So we'll see what we can figure out and what we can get done.
Thank you.
Dana down here. What do you do now with Jorge Masvidal that he's right here? What do you do now with Jorge Masvidal now that he's lost 3 of his last 3 fights? I know you guys have just given him a new lucrative deal, but matchmaking wise, what do you think makes the most sense for him at this juncture?
I don't know. That was what Kevin just asked me. I don't know. We'll figure out what's next for him. The rankings will come out on Tuesday, and we'll do something that makes sense.
And I'm not sure if you said, if you heard, Tom Aspinall recently said that you guys have told him that you've got potential replacements for Alexander Volkov. Now, I know you alluded to that the other day, but is that the case?
I hope not, but we'll figure it out if it does. You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see how this thing plays out too. We're trying to get him out of there early, and he didn't want to leave early, so.
And hypothetically, if Volkov isn't allowed entry into the UK, would you keep that matchup together at all, or would you just?
No, if he can't get into the country, then we'll make another one for Tom. He's from the UK, so we would find him another opponent.
Regardless, then.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Dana, just in front of you. Was that the last fight on Greg Hardy's contract?
Was that the last fight on Greg Hardy's contract?
Yeah.
Does anybody know the answer to that question? Nobody knows.
Okay. And also, I wanted to touch on, do you think the narrative of the Dos Anjos Moicano fight changes a lot, given it was close to being stopped in the 4th round. Then Moicano comes out and has a great 5th round. Do you think it changes like a lot of people's mind, given that Moicano had such a good last round?
Changes their mind as far as what?
Like obviously entering the 4th round, he was getting beat up quite a lot,
Right.
and then he comes out in the 5th, and
What we were saying earlier, I think it was John Morgan, was that I think a lot of people figured that fight should have been stopped earlier, right? Then he comes out in the 5th round. It's like it's one of the. I mean, we've said this a million times in the fight business. A guy who's too tough for his own good, kind of thing. If the ref doesn't stop the fight, Moicano is that guy. But that's why we made this fight. We made this fight with Moicano because he's a stud. He's literally a stud. I mean, the guy's a badass. That's why we made this fight.
And I just wanted to get your thoughts on the judging tonight. There was a few split decisions. Could have gone either way. I think the Nikolai fight, Kennedy, your Tim Elliott fight. Obviously, I think that's why Khabib was a bit angry. Did you think anything wrong with the decisions?
No, I didn't. Nothing stood out to me like, holy shit, this is crazy.
And whilst we're on Khabib, obviously Umar, he struggled to get a fight. He's pulled out of a few fights, but a really good win tonight. How far do you think he can go in the UFC?
Who'd you say?
Umar, Khabib's cousin.
Yeah. What about him?
How far do you think he can go in that division?
I don't know. That remains to be seen. As you start to work your way up the ladder here, it just gets nastier and nastier. So we'll see.
And just one more from me. Kevin Holland, had a great welterweight debut. Just your thoughts on his win.
Yeah, listen, I think I've told you guys a million times. I love that kid. I have a really good relationship with him, and I like him a lot. And I'm happy to see him. Happy to see him win.
Thank you.
Hey, Dana, we got a few questions here.
Look, check you out. Hi.
Hey, yeah, we got a few questions. The first one is that could be confident that he called out on Dustin Poirier in the fight, saying that he wants to match up with him next time. So, do you think that's going to happen in any near future?
I don't know. We were just talking about that too. We said that he's in a really tricky situation right now. Does he go to 55? Does he move up to 85? Does he keep knocking off guys at 170? And then I eventually say, okay, he's ready for a title again. I don't know. It's a weird spot for both of those guys to be in, no matter who would have won. But we'll see.
Okay. Next question is, today, Yan Xiaonan and Rodriguez, they have pretty close fight. And what do you think about the split decision?
What was the question? Did I think it was a split decision?
Yeah, it was end up with Rodriguez that he won. She won a fight.
Like I said, nothing stood out to me tonight in the judging that I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. When the judges, when I think that the judges blow it, I'm usually it stands out, and I would have, yeah. Makes
sense. Last question is, so Joanna, that she has been calling out Zhang Weili for a rematch. Do you think that's going to happen, or you think Zhang Weili's next opponent most likely will be someone else?
Weili and Joanna? Yeah, probably Joanna.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey Dana, how you doing, mate?
Hey.
I never got to follow up with you after 270, but I just wanted to wonder, how did the NFTs go? Was it a successful campaign?
The NFTs? Yeah, the NFTs killed it. Yeah. Thank you. That was an easy one. You guys done with me? Have a great night. I appreciate it.
Javi, obviously a battle out there from start to finish. Guy wouldn't go away. I guess physically, how are you feeling right now, and how do you feel about your performance tonight?
Yeah, it feels good, man. It was hard for me to take that fight on short notice. He was a totally different guy that I was training for. Physic's a shorter guy, Muay Thai fighter. All of a sudden comes, Moicano is taller link, good jab, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, was kind of hard to make that adjustments, but I'm pretty happy I got it done.
Was there any consideration of not taking it because of all those things you just mentioned?
Zero. I told Dan, I told Sean Shelby I'll fight anybody.
Nice. The insistence on keeping it 5 rounds, we were a little bit surprised, obviously. Was that something that you wanted, or was that something the UFC said? Like, why keep it at 5 rounds?
I was training for 5 rounds. So I was training for a main event. Everybody knows that when you do a fight camp for 5 rounds, it's pretty hard. So I don't want to take that away. I know I fight well when it goes distance. I feel good, and it was good too, to get rid of that ring rust that I had. 16 months layoff. I felt that a little bit, but I think now I'm a good track.
Nice. Obviously, you damaged him quite a bit in there. That eye was pretty nasty. I guess what's going through your head as you're seeing how much damage he's taking is not going away, and arguably had his best round in the 5th round.
Yeah, I think when you take fights on short notice, you don't have much to prove, right? Like he said, I was it's time to make money. I was at the pool sitting with my family. I got a call, so he jumped on the airplane, and okay, whatever happens, right? And I was training. I was on a fight camp for 8 weeks. Fight got postponed. Brought new coaches from Brazil, new sparring partners. Was crazy for me. The last 2 weeks, a lot of stress, a lot of things going on. Sold my place in California, moving back to Brazil. A lot of pressure, but thank God everything went well.
This may be a silly question because it's a fight, but when you see how much damage is around his right eye, is there any part of you that's like, I can't keep hitting him there? Like, this is terrible.
I thought, man, I really wanted, the doctor to stop it, but they didn't. But, I got to do what I got to do, unfortunately. And I was, I was trying to finish the fight, but the guy's tough as nail.
You didn't get the Masvidal win tonight for that, so I guess are there other names? Maybe is Islam still a fight that makes sense? What makes sense for you now?
Looks like Islam gonna fight Benil Dariush, right? And had a chance to fight me tonight. He didn't. And 170 pounds. I took that fight. They don't. And I don't know. Looks like Conor's coming back on the summer. That could be a good one. Title fight already scheduled. We'll see, man. A lot of things can happen. I just want to be active. I want to be training. I need good names. So, man, I've been on this game for so many years. Fought everybody in 2 divisions. I need names that make me, want to go to the gym and train hard for it. That's what I want.
Rafael, straightforward. I was wondering, obviously people talk about how many guys you have faced. You have one of the most difficult schedules, just all the opponents that you've taken on in the last several years. For you, just what keeps you to keep training at that high level and keep up this schedule at this stage of your career?
Man, I think I have a heart of a fighter. That's what I do for a living. I never did anything different pretty much of my whole life. And then I don't pick fights. UFC call me with that opponent, and I take fights and be on this level of competition that I am. I can't really pick fights, and I never did.
What are some of the things you're most proud of? Like, has it been some of the tougher opponents that you faced at 170? Was it just what are some of those fights that really stand out to you that you're very proud of personally?
Man, my run for the title, at lightweight, I had a successful run. Beat Anthony Pettis on his prime and move up. A lot of people took me for granted when I move up, saying that I was too small. And I had a great run. Not going to say that was the best run because I lost on the title fight. But I beat Safedine, Nurmagomedov, and Robbie Lawler and fought for the title. So it's I'm proud of it. I fought short for Kobe on that fight, but was a closer one.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Rafael, just one question over here. Are you interested at all in fighting the winner of Chandler versus Ferguson?
it's too soon to think about it. It's too soon. I didn't even know that they were scheduled to fight. But, yeah, it's too soon to think about it. I think I got a 60-day suspension. I think the corner fight would make more sense to me right now.
Great, thanks.
Rafael over here, other side. You're the 10th fighter in UFC history to hit the 20 wins mark, all in the UFC. So can you speak a little bit on that record and if you were aware of that and what that record would mean to you?
I didn't was aware of it, but yeah, it feels great. I think I've been in UFC for 14, 15 years, and it's been great to me. Pretty happy with the company and the treatment that I get. I still have a lot on me. Moved back to Brazil, training with Nova União with André Pederneiras, legendary coach, and I think he's getting the best of me.
I think in your next fight, you're going to pass Frankie Edgar for the most octagon time in the UFC too. So what would that, like outside of the wins, but just most time in general in the history of the UFC fighting, what would that record mean to you?
Yeah, man, being ahead of Frankie's a legend. That would be great, that's a lot of hours on the octagon. Proud of it.
Rafael, just in front here. You said that obviously you think the Conor fight makes sense next. Is it a case of, obviously it's a big payday, but the fact that it's been, 6 years since your cancelled fight and it's always been a fight you wanted since then?
It's not, I think the moment that we're living right now, it's that fight will make a lot of sense. I was on a 16 months layoff. Conor broke his leg and he's coming back on the summer, I think. That would make sense. The division is kind of crazy right now, and I think that fight will make a lot of sense.
But obviously, you just picked up a win, but Conor's not had a win in 2 years. How would you assess when you were first booked to fight him? With a fight now, he's in a very different position from when you were first booked to fight him, is he not?
Can you say it again, please?
When you were first booked to fight Conor, he was, at the top of his game, and now he's at the bottom of his game. Is that something that puts you off the fight, or do you still want it?
Yeah, man, Conor is a big name. It's always a lot of pay-per-view. He sells a lot of pay-per-view. That will be a big money fight, of course. And we have a history too. Like I said, I'm looking for names that make me want to go to the gym and training. Being so many years on this game, I don't want to fight. Names that don't interest me. Don't push me to go to the gym. I'm 37 years old. Fought pretty much everybody on the division, in 2 divisions. So I think he would be the guy that would motivate me to go to the gym and work hard for it.
Is he the only name that stands out?
That's what come to my mind right now.
Thank you.
Rafael, tudo bom? Fazer em português aqui rapidinho, tá? Rafael, a primeira pergunta que eu queria fazer para você é sobre a luta em si. Teve alguma surpresa na performance do Moicano? Teve alguma coisa que te surpreendeu nele em específico no octógono?
Cara, eu acho que a durabilidade dele ali, né, de bancar ali por ter aceitado a luta tanto pouco tempo, de aguentar os 5 rounds bem. Eu impus meu jogo, estava bem treinado, mas terceiro ali eu achei que ia finalizar ele, nocautear, mas o moleque segurou a onda legal e eu acho que isso me impressionou.
Ali na arena, pareceu que no final do combate ele foi melhor do que durante a luta. Você sentiu se de repente você estava mais cansado ou estava mais cadenciado pela certeza da vitória?
Não, eu acho que o Dedé falou comigo para eu dar para parar de caçar e dar uma andada e deixar ele vir mais para cima de mim. Mas isso é uma coisa que eu tenho que trabalhar em mim. Toda vez que eu estou andando, circulando o ringue, eu acho que eu estou perdendo a luta. Então, eu sempre quero ir para frente. Então, eu acho que isso é uma coisa que eu tenho que trabalhar em mim. Nem sempre, quando você está andando, circulando, você está perdendo a luta. Você está angulando. Então, isso é uma coisa que... Aí eu acabei que botei em risco ali um round sem necessidade. Entendeu? Aí tomei um jab ali dentro do olho, cara. Tomei um soco bem... Não foi tão forte, mas foi bem dentro do olho. Então, me machucou um pouco. Aí eu tomei uns golpes ali, mas Nada demais, mas eu acho que foi o melhor momento dele na luta ali, o quinto.
Depois de mais de um ano parado, quão frustrante foi para você, mais uma vez, trocar de adversário e toda essa polêmica que envolveu o Islam, né? Aceita, não aceita, daí você vai dormir achando que o adversário acorda com outro. Quão frustrante foi para você esse cenário inteiro?
Ah, cara, eu treinei para lutar 5 rounds, a luta foi adiada 2 semanas, aí troca o oponente, aceita um, o cara não aceita. Pô, foi bem difícil essas 2 semanas aí, muito estresse, muita coisa difícil, mas graças a Deus a gente arrumou um oponente e saímos com a vitória.
Você deixou claro que a sua grande meta é voltar a lutar pelo cinturão. Depois da performance de hoje, o quão distante você acha que você está da sua meta?
Cara, eu acho que a luta do cinturão já está marcada, sendo ex-campeão. Eu acho que esse caminho para mim se encurta muito. O Islam e o Ben vão lutar. Então, eu acho, cara, tudo pode acontecer, né? Eu, como sempre, eu me mantenho preparado. A oportunidade que aparecer, eu vou estar pronto.
Só mais 2 perguntas, por favor. Você já falou em inglês, gostaria que você respondesse em português. No mundo ideal, qual seria a sua próxima luta e por quê?
Cara, eu acho que uma luta legal que faria sentido para mim seria o retorno do Conor. Agora parece que ele vai voltar em julho, agosto. Seria uma luta legal que me interessava. Eu, sendo ex-campeão, já ter lutado tanto aí com todo mundo em 2 divisões, eu preciso de lutas que me animem de ir para academia e treinar, nomes que me deem prazer em treinar, entendeu? Então esse seria um nome que me daria isso.
Para finalizar, Rafael, você mudou de volta para o Brasil, já vendeu a casa em Los Angeles. 10 anos atrás, mais ou menos, você mudou para os Estados Unidos. O que você procurava nos Estados Unidos naquela época e o que hoje você procura no Brasil voltando para lá?
Eu vim para cá atrás de treino. Eu estava sem treino de wrestling, sem treino de geral, assim, de sparring, de tudo. Eu acho que eu consegui isso aqui. Tive uma boa temporada. Agora a gente resolveu vender e ir para o Brasil. Eu acho que a minha família está feliz, eu estou feliz, minha esposa está feliz. E o treino lá no Dedé, a gente tem tudo no mesmo lugar, no CT lá do Dedé, da Nova União. Tem jiu-jitsu, wrestling, tudo eu faço lá. Tem meu treinador físico, Paulo Caruso, também. E médicos no Brasil, eu acho muito melhor. E tudo, o momento me levou para o Brasil agora.
Hey Rafael, how you doing, mate? If you were to get the Conor fight, what areas would you be looking to test yourself in? Like, I know obviously you mix it up well, but would you be willing to stand and bang, for example, or would it be a more grappling heavy approach?
I have no problem to trade the punch with Conor. No, I think I have everything it takes. I'm pretty comfortable on stand up. I know he got a dangerous game, but I'll do my game. Just mix it up but I have no problem to trade at all. Thank you, guys.
Hello, everybody.
Well, Jorge, I know it's got to be a little frustrating right now, so appreciate the time. But I guess, what are the emotions for you like right now?
I wrestled like shit, I lost a lot of exchanges that if I would have won them, on a technical level, things could have gone a little different, if I would have made him spend more energy on certain takedowns. That first takedown I gave up, he took my back and he rode me pretty good, and that got me a little flat, going into the next round. I felt like I won a lot of the exchanges. I felt like on the feet I definitely did the more damage, but it's a fight, and shit, man. If I could do it all over again, I would have gone to college and wrestled my ass off, got my grades up, and be able to stuff all these guys up and then just keep it on the feet. But I was just flat on the wrestling, brother.
Yeah. I know you said obviously nothing personal, but and you've been in big fights, but the feeling going out there tonight, was it any different? Was there any, type of different emotion than normal?
To lose to a bitch like that, all he does is talk about people's kids, religion, nations. Obviously, nobody wants to lose to a coward like that. So you know, I felt like I lost the wrestling exchanges, the fight, you know, whatever, you know. I know I did damage. I think I dropped him twice. So, it just sucks, man. Fucking flat on the wrestling, and he jumped on and he was able to take me down. There was like 1 or 2 times that I felt him getting real tired on the takedowns, and all of a sudden he got that takedown as I was like stuffing the second and third attempt. Then on the fourth one, he got me down, and he's got good control once he's on top.
Obviously, you knew the guy very well. Did anything in there surprise you, or was it pretty much just exactly what you expected?
More or less what I expected, you know. I know that he wouldn't want to stand in there toe-to-toe, because even if he'd land 1 shot or 2 or 3, when I'd land one back, it'd make a big difference, you know. I felt I'd hurt him more significantly with my shots, but whatever, man, it still came up short.
Yeah. Is it a fight that you'll try to get again at some point, or is it, you know, all that it encompasses it better to just move past all this?
Definitely, if I get on a winning track, improve myself again, and I get that fight, the fight I'd love to take, I feel I could keep improving those positions where I did fuck up tonight, just make it a little bit more taxing on him, so when we get to the feet, I'm fresher, he's a little bit worn out, and I could get some big shots in his face and finish him next time.
Last thing for me, I mean, I know you want to take some time away and be with the family and such, but is there anything that interests you right now other than a rematch, which would be down the road? I mean, you're still a big star, obviously, man. If the crowd was responding out there, it's clear how much you're loved. So, I mean, are there fights that make sense or dates or anything like that?
I think the only thing that makes sense is for me to get in the gym, me to get in the track and field, and just get after it, get in great shape, see where my headspace is at, and then 3-4 months from now, make that decision who's next. You know, for right now, I want to clear the cobwebs up. It's not that I'm hurt or nothing, but to lose to a punk like that, it sucks, you know. And if I fight like another wrestler, I need to make sure I could deal with this thing, you know. It's always been tough fights for me with the wrestlers, you know. Thinking, is he going to shoot on me so I don't open up as much on my feet as I should, and then I get in big scrambles and I get out scrambled. So I need to fix the wrestling, man.
George, to your right. I mean, to your left, excuse me. To you. I know my right from my left usually. I'm just curious, when you dropped him in the 4th round there, was that your good shot, and are you surprised he bounced up as quick as he did?
And then I didn't pounce, you know, on him after I dropped him. I wasn't surprised that he bounced up. I was just surprised that I didn't go and take his head off. I thought he was going to shoot immediately on me, so I just thinking of wrong shit instead of just go and take his head off. You know, I was tired. He was tired and hurt. That was my chance right there. That was that window of like 5-6 seconds to give it all I got and make a sprint and make a big change. Maybe I could have made that round 10-8, 10-7, who knows, you know. But I didn't take that opening.
You dropped him in the 2nd and the 4th, I believe it was. Which one was the better shot?
I'm going to have to see with myself, because obviously when I'm in the fight, I might think this, I might think that. Probably the one in the 4th, I think, but I'm going to have to check it out again.
The other thing, you know, you were standing there when he called out Dustin Poirier, and it was a little surprise to people. He's calling out a guy in a lighter weight class.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about, to me anyways, going up and fighting at 185, as opposed to saying Whitaker. He calls out Dustin Poirier, and I'm curious what you think that says about Colby for doing that.
He's a bitch. That's it. You know, the bitch could wrestle though.
Jorge right here. Go ahead, Austin.
Did you think he was kind of fighting a little bit dirty in there? I know in the first round he poked you in the eye, and that started the wrestling, so you almost had the first round taken away from you from a foul. Did you feel like he was doing that, and was he doing it intentionally, or how did you feel?
The eye poke was pretty bad, man. The only thing that's hurting on me right now is the fucking eye poke. My eye's still throbbing right now. I've had a couple mishaps with Herb Dean. I just don't get it why he didn't fix the action. You know, he threw a punch, missed, and then he immediately just jabbed me in the fucking eyeball. I'm not gonna take nothing away for him winning the fight, because that was just one sequence. But it would have been cool if he would have stopped it there, and I would have got my breather, and then we restart, because he poked the shit out of my eye. You know, like, it's still throbbing right now. That's the only thing that's hurting on me. Whatever the fucking me and Herb Dean don't have a clean record as it is. You know, we've had a couple mishaps in the past, and shit, he's not my cup of tea when it comes to refereeing.
He, in between the first and second round, he said to Colby, I've watched the replay, it was an eye poke, I'm giving you a stern warning. But at that point, the eye poke's already happened, and you've already...
And I've been down for like 3 minutes and change on my back, you know. I don't know, you know, I just kind of sucks, you know. And then there was a low blow as well, and I don't know. Colby's always been kind of a little dirty fighter, but today just showed more. But I'm not gonna I'm not gonna rely on that or anything, man. Still, I lost the wrestling scrambles, and he won, you know.
You've been disappointed before, right? I remember against Usman, you came up short and you were disappointed. But this one, and I don't want to rub it in or anything, but how harsh is this sitting here right now talking to us?
It's fucking, like I said, none of it is personal, but it just sucks because this idiot talked about my kids, you know. He's still somebody, if I see him out in the streets, I'm going to give him everything I got to break his fucking jaw, you know. It doesn't matter if I lost wrestling scrambles tonight. I still think he's a fucking pussy, you know.
Thanks for coming to talk to us.
Jorge, I was wondering, straight back. I believe it was in the 4th round you had this particular exchange with him. He kind of got you against the fence. He unloaded a few punches and you just shook it off. You showed your tongue at him. Can you just walk me through that moment? I mean, was it just the punches just didn't have no power and then you came back and cracked them?
I was kind of baiting him there because I was seeing the punches coming and I was like, I think I could get him to either punch out or he's going to take a shot right now and I could catch him with a knee. I ended up catching him with a punch. Yeah, he doesn't have power like on his hands, you know. That's why he goes right to sniffing the crotch. So I just I was hesitant there, man. I thought he was gonna shoot and I could time him for a knee as he was throwing those punches. I just read him wrong. I think he let out like 7-8 punches, but that also caused him to gas, you know.
And then another question I had, just were there any words exchanged, you know, when you guys were in the middle of the octagon that maybe we didn't catch during the fight?
Yeah, me just telling him you're still a bitch and shit like that.
Did he say anything back?
I don't even know what he said, bro. But I know I just told him, "Here, bitch. Just, you know, I'll get you eventually."
Now I know you know, not too many fights that you've had back since the pandemic, so obviously a big crowd and big response to you tonight when you walked out. Just can you talk about what it's like this many years in your career? Now finally you're getting all of that kind of reaction when you finally walk out to the octagon.
You know, this is like double-sided. You know, I've been doing it 20 years. I'm 37 years old. I wish I would have had the support maybe a little bit younger when I was a little bit younger. But I'm not mad that I'm getting it now, though. You know, I still love this sport. I still love what I do. I'm 37 years old, so it's not like in like my youth prime, but I still love this, you know. So I'm glad that I got the fans behind me, and they see that every time I step in, I got one intention to take the other guy out.
Can I ask just final question? You've obviously had losses before. When you go home, just like, how do you start putting the pieces back together and start rebuilding with the team, with your family and everything?
Smoke a fat joint, eat a couple cheeseburgers, and then hit the gym, you know, and then hit the track and field, and then hit the gym and see how I'm holding up. And maybe like a month into it or something, I'll talk to my team, my coaches, see what they want to do. I leave it in their hands. I got the best management in the world. I feel I got the best coaches in the world. I'm in the passenger side for this one, you know. I'll let them decide when I come back. When after the fight before this one.
Jorge, back
they wanted
here.
me to take a while, so I did, and then eventually I came back. Now I just talk to my team. If they want me to fight in 2-3 months, I'll do that. If they want me to fight 6-7 months from now, then I'll do that as well.
Jorge, back here. There were some rumors that Colby came into the fight with a knee injury, and I saw that Malky also replied to a tweet about Colby getting some cortisone shots. Do you know if he had a knee injury?
I'm not 100% sure. Just I wanted to blow his knee out anyways.
All right. And then last question from me. There were a couple shots to the back of the head. Did that impact you at all during the fight?
In the heat of the moment, you know, the adrenaline's pumping, you know, so I'm sure that he hit me back there, but I don't feel it. The only thing that impacted me in the fight that was like harsh was the eye poke, you know. It was pretty shitty. My eye's still throbbing right now. Doesn't feel too good. Probably get that checked out. Make sure there's no corneal abrasion or nothing. That's the only thing that I think the referee should have set a stern warning and gave me the time to recoup, you know. My eye's still hurting now, and it's been like 30 minutes after the fight.
Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you.
Jorge, pasando todo lo que has pasado, tu historia, que es una historia tremenda para todos los cubanos, ¿cómo te recuperas de esto y cómo sigues adelante con la fuerza para seguir peleando y dándole a tu gente lo que la gente quiere de ti?
Fe en Dios, primero, tomar un descanso, 1 o 2 semanas, después empezar a ir al gimnasio, ir recuperándome así y empezar de menos a más, a ver quién me dan para la próxima pelea y después acabar con él.
En Nueva York tú una vez me dijiste a mí que tú soñabas con verte en Madison Square Garden. Cuando cierras los ojos, ¿dónde más te ves, Jorge? ¿Dónde más ves tu carrera llegando?
de nuevo aquí en Las Vegas, llenando el estadio, peleando con uno de los mejores del mundo, arrancándole la cabeza, yendo para adelante. No, yo no voy a dejar que esto me pare. Voy a tomar un tiempo para reenfocarme, poner todo en su lugar y ir para adelante. De nada.
Jorge, just in front of you here. Obviously, you said before this fight your ultimate goal, even though all this rivalry with Covington is you won't retire until you're champion. Is that still the same?
I'm 37 years old, so I want to give it all I got. And I base it off, if I go to the gym 2-3 weeks from now and the young guys are beating my ass, and I've always said that'll be the time for me to hang it up. If I'm losing in the gym, I don't need to get in the cage to find that out. The goal is always to be the champion. As long as I'm doing good in the gym, I'll keep competing, you know. We didn't do that well to the American top team, but we constantly have guys that are competing at the highest of levels. So the day I can't compete with those guys, I know it's time for me to hang it up. I still do well in the gym, and it's going to be the same thing. I'm going to get back to the gym, and then if everybody's kicking my butt, then my time has come. If I'm still holding my own, I'm going to get in there and give it another shot. And if I win that one, then I'm going to give it another shot. And if I win that one, I'm going to give it another shot, and then see where that leads me.
Like you said there, you know, the title is what's on your mind. Obviously, it's a very personal fight. You know, people could say it's one-sided, but you had your moments. Is it a rematch something you would ever want?
Definitely. I'm going to go and earn it, though, by knocking other people out. Eventually, I'll get in front of him. I'll get in front of Usman right now. I'm far removed from that. I'm probably 2-3 fights away from that, but I love the work. I love the fight. So as long as I can still hold my own in the gym, I'll be back in there.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Game Bread, one question. More important for you before it's all said and done to get a third fight with Usman or that second fight with Colby?
It'd be nice to get both. If I could get both, it'd be very nice. I feel in this fight there was a couple hiccups in the wrestling exchanges when he was giving all he had to take me down. If I could have just avoided those takedowns then, it would have been detrimental for him. Then we would have been on the feet and I would have been nice and calm and he would have been huffing and puffing. Instead, I gave up in some positions. And I gave up, but I got outscored, and then that allowed him to put his style on me, and then that made it, then my gas tank went down. So I just feel like if I could clean that up, I could make his life hell.
Herb Dean did give him the warning in between rounds. I mean, he gave a stern warning. Were you kind of surprised that he didn't take a point after that with the low blow?
No, I wasn't surprised at all. I was just surprised that after the eye poke in the first round, they didn't just break it up and address it. Like, that position wouldn't have happened had he not poked me in the eye, you know. So it's whatever. It's Herb Dean stuff, you know. Everybody here could, if you've seen fighting, you've seen Herb Dean have numerous hiccups. I'm not gonna blame the fight on him, but he's not my cup of tea when it comes to refereeing.
Jorge, de este lado, cuéntame un poquito qué pasó en el cuarto round cuando lo tocaste. En español sé que ya lo dijiste en inglés, pero cuando lo tocaste y sentiste que podías ir por más o qué pasó.
Cuando lo toqué, vi que estaba lastimado y mi primera emoción era, se va a tirar las piernas. Solo quería casar con una rodilla o con un uppercut. No lo hizo y pensé mucho. Ese es el problema mío, que pensé mucho en vez de sacar los perros y tratar de terminar en ese momento como sea. Me puse a pensar mucho.
¿Y el piquete de ojo qué tanto te afectó a partir de ese momento en la pelea?
Bueno, el ojo todavía me duele, lo tengo palpitando todavía. Ha sido media hora después de la pelea y el ojo no está entero. Me lo voy a ir a chequear con los doctores mañana.
Gracias, Jorge.
De nada. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody, man.
Colby, congratulations on a very thorough victory this evening. I'm just curious how you're feeling after the performance tonight.
10 push-ups, John.
Congrats.
Hey, Colby.
Hey, what's up, Helen? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. A real journalist who doesn't write with their feelings and talks about fighters not being deserving. So I would love to answer your question. What do you have for me?
Well, first off, congratulations on the great performance and the fight of the night. I'm just curious, first off, after training with Jorge in the past, did anything in there surprise you at all?
Nah, nothing in there surprised me. Another dominant finish. You know, whooped his ass from second 1 to minute 25. You could see in his body language he had nothing left in the fight. I was ready for 5 more rounds in the parking lot. So, you know, if he wants to keep doing this, we'd go for 5 more rounds in the parking lot. You know, bring out another guy, man. American trash team, man. They need to keep sending guys to me, but just don't expect to get them back in one piece. You know, I'm ready to take 2 of those fighters in one night. The King of Miami showed out tonight.
I know afterwards you called out Dustin Poirier, but for you, would it be more meaningful to fight Dustin or Kamaru Usman for a 3rd time?
Definitely Marty Fake Newsman a 3rd time. I got unfinished business with him when I left the arena in Madison Square Garden. All the fans knew I won rounds 3, 4, and 5, but you know, he's going to be out for a while. He's got that hand surgery, so, you know, I figure I'll get another tune-up fight with Dustin Poirier, who said it's on site, you know, and he weighs more than me. He's just a bully who cuts a lot of weight. I don't cut any weight because I know I'm the best in the world, and I don't need to have a weight advantage over anybody. So, Dustin, name the site, you know, bring that Jezebel of a wife and bring Connor's little kid, Parker.
Well, after training with both Dustin and Jorge, do you feel that Dustin will be a tougher opponent than Jorge was tonight?
I mean, you saw George, you know, he just come out to took that losing paycheck. There's a reason he signed that contract before he fought me tonight. He knew he couldn't beat me. You know, he knew if he put up his best performance like he did tonight, that was my worst performance, and it was still an easy night of work for me. So I beat them both up in the same night. I used to do it every Tuesday and Thursday at American Trash Team. So bring him out. You know, he's talking all that reckless thing to the media. So I talk the talk. I walk the walk. I'm a man of my word. Promises made, promises kept.
And lastly, both of them have fought at 155 before. Would you ever consider moving down to 155 in your career?
I wouldn't, because I don't want to cut all that weight. I think I can make 162 very easily. Like 170 is a joke, man. I was running to the scale, like I felt so good. I was like, man, this is such an easy weight cut. Like I didn't miss one meal. I had all my meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it's an easy weight cut, but I'm not a bully. I don't need to bully guys at lightweight. That's an easy-ass division, and there's no reason for me to cut all that weight. I'd rather just fight in my natural weight class and prove I'm the best in the world like I did tonight.
Dustin over here. Colby over here. You called. Sorry about that. You just said you felt this was one of your worst performances. What specifically about this makes you make that assessment?
Well, first off, I want to say, man, it is so cold in here, man. I got all this ice on my neck. Can we turn up the temperature up in here? I'm freezing up here. You see all this ice on my neck, man? Frick, man, I got a house on my neck, man. But yeah, it wasn't my best performance. Just a lot of emotions going into it, you know. That was a real friend of mine at one point in my career, and you know, he's such a backstabbing thief, and he talks so reckless, and he's tried to make some false narratives to the media, make a lot of lies, like he does. He's a liar, you know. He's a thief. So, you know, I let the emotions get the best of me, but you know, it was still dominant. I just showed how good I was, that I am the #1 fighter in the world for a reason, and it wasn't even competitive tonight.
The broadcast made it seem like you might have had a knee injury. Even Jorge said that he heard some rumors that maybe you got a cortisone shot. How accurate was that?
That's fake news. It's funny that happened, because I told someone intentionally, because I wanted to see whose side he was really on, Team George or Team Colby. So I found out what team he's on, and I got to keep my circle even smaller going forward. But, you know, I'm the king of Miami now. George needs to leave the city. You know, it's not big enough for the two of us. So he needs to leave, or he's going to get sparked again.
We couldn't hear what was being said. It was muted back here, but it even looked like your coaches were yelling at Jorge and his team. What exactly was being said in there after the fight?
Yeah, he was just still running his mouth like, dude, you just got pounded out, dude. You got dropped, wobbled. I mean, just a complete domination from second 1 to minute 25. You could see in his body language, he literally didn't have another 1 minute in him to go. So just imagine if there wasn't a ref there tonight, his life would have been over. So that's the end of Street Judas. I don't want to hear any more talk of Street Judas, the hype machine who hit lightning in a bottle for a couple fights. He's done. I don't want to hear another word about him.
I don't know if you've seen this, but Dustin Poirier has responded to you on Twitter. Well, we assume it's to you. He's currently in Jamaica, I think, right now on vacation. He called you a bumbleclot and said maybe fight a welterweight contender. So what's your response to that?
Let's do it, bro. He said it's on site, man. Let's do it, man. Stop talking reckless to the media, man. If I talk to the media and say things, I come out here and back it up. I'm a man of my word. So, you know, we can do it anywhere. We don't have to do it in a UFC octagon. If he wants to do it in a park or in the street, my only one concern is, my one stipulation is, you know, you let the world watch and enjoy themselves, just like he does when Connor's in bed with his wife. He's a little cuck.
Colby,
Colby.
down here. I know you don't respect George on a personal level, but as a competitor, after sharing the octagon with him for 25 minutes, is there any any sort of respect there?
Let's talk about all the money that Drake lost tonight. He needs to go back to, selling those shitty albums to get back the money. He should have went to America's Pick of the Week by my bookie. I tried to give the people the pick of the week. I'm America's champ, and I was America's Pick of the Week. Drake, you suck at sports betting. Go back to your shitty little albums of rapping.
Okay, that side note aside, any level of respect to him as a competitor at all?
Absolutely not. How can you respect that guy? He's a thief. He went to jail multiple times for grand theft. He's tried to compare himself to say he's on the same knowledge level as me. The guy didn't graduate middle school. I tried to ask him one simple question: how does a bill become a law? He couldn't tell me how a bill becomes a law. The guy's a fraud. He's a phony. He knows nothing about politics, and he got exposed for the journeyman he was tonight.
And how active do you want to be this year?
I want to be very active. I'd love to fight 3 times. I want to come back and fight International Fight Week in July, come back to Sin City, the fight capital of the world. It's so convenient to fight here in Las Vegas. We got the UFC PI. They do a great job. Shout out to Heather Linden, Bobby, and Charles. They did a great job of just keeping me well-fed all week and just massages and just, top-notch facilities. You can't complain when you fight in Vegas. It's the best in the world, so I'd love to come back.
Hey, Colby, to your left here. I wonder, you beat Dos Anjos for the title. Does this fight compare with that, this win?
Weren't you just writing an article talking shit? Like, I was trying to be nice to you.
I was talking shit?
Yeah, you said some stupid-ass shit about George in this fight, man. You're fake news, man. No one wants to...
I didn't say that.
I ain't answering you either. Next question.
Colby, right here, just one question. There's been a lot of talk about the pay-per-view points. Why did you give up the pay-per-view points, and was there some sort of trade-off in the contract?
Because I told Hunter Campbell, this fight, I didn't care about the money. I wanted to come out here and fight this guy because he's talked so reckless. I was willing to take a pay cut. I didn't care. I would have fought this guy for free. I'm sick of this guy running his mouth. He can't talk and walk his walk. He can't talk the talk and walk the walk like I do. So I was willing to fight this guy for free. It wasn't about money tonight. This is a personal rivalry that needed to be settled, and it got settled. So, now that was the last of Street Judas, and we're not going to hear any more of him.
Great,
Colby.
thanks.
Just in front of you here.
Colby right here, straight up. Colby, I asked Jorge, he said that he was saying some words to you during the fight. Can you talk about what you might have said to him during the fight?
Yeah, I was telling him, I'm still your daddy. You know who your daddy is. I'm the king of Miami. So take this ass whooping like the little bitch. I'm glad you came out and, took this ass whooping. But let's talk about Cain Velasquez, man. Free Cain, man. A lot of people, what he did, a lot of people, wouldn't have done the same thing. But I respect the shit out of him. I mean, having your kid be molested, I mean, we talk about that all the time. Like, we would do that, but he was in that situation. He actually did it. So, free Cain Velasquez, much respect and love, and I hope you get out soon.
I have an additional question. There was so much going into this fight. You've been part of some big fights already. When it's all said and done for your career, what are you going to reflect on most that you're most proud of getting the W in this particular event?
Selling out another arena, just like Madison Square Garden, 4th highest gate in Madison Square Garden, my last fight, selling big pay-per-views, doing good business for the UFC, sold out T-Mobile Arena tonight, another electrifying crowd, I'm sure the pay-per-views are through the roof. I'm just going to remember, doing what I did best, being a man of my word and, doing good business for the UFC, the company that I love so much, man. I have so much respect for Hunter Campbell, Dana White, and all the UFC brass for what they've done and what they've built with this company. So I love being a UFC fighter, and I want to be a UFC fighter for life.
Congratulations.
Colby, just in front of you here. Obviously, you just said you sold out the arena. You didn't take pay-per-view points for this one because it meant so much to you. But given, you mean so much to the company, you sold out this arena, is that something you'd want for your next fight?
I love it. I think I deserve it, George just signed his contract right before the fight because he knew he was going to get his ass whooped, and he wasn't going to have any leverage or power to negotiate after I whoop his ass on Monday morning. So, I want to be paid more than George Masvidal now. He likes to rub that in his face that, I make more money than you, this and that. I mean, first off, no, he doesn't, because he pays half of it to Maritza, his ex-wife. So he doesn't make more money than me. But secondly, I need to be making more money than George. The guy's a flash in the pan, two-pump chump, like his ex-wife Maritza said. And, he's 37 years old, man. I'm 30. I just turned 34, 2 weeks before this fight. I'm in my prime. I'm getting better every single day, and you haven't seen the best of me. So, I still got a long, long career ahead of me.
And Masvidal was in here, and he said, it was not one of his good performances. Were you surprised that you were able to hold him down? Did you expect more from him?
No, I didn't expect more. That was his best performance he's ever had in his life. He knows every time we train. Last time we trained, left him unconscious. with a high kick, fake takedown, high kick. So the guy's irrelevant. I don't want to hear any more about him. He was, lightning in a bottle. Shouldn't even been here in the first place, but he's lucky he got the main event tonight because they were going to bury on the card. He was supposed to fight Edward Scissorhands 3 fights down. I brought him to a main event pay-per-view fight, so he should be thanking me and counting his chickens.
And finally, just one more from me. Hamzat Chimaev reacted to your fight. He was cage side. He's called it a BS fight. If he beats Burns, he could be right next to you in terms of a title contention. Have you ever looked at Hamzat? Have you ever watched any of his fights?
I don't watch fights of people who have, 3-4 fights in the UFC. I mean, he should be mad at his mom. His mom named him Cum Shot. That's embarrassing, man. Don't get mad at me, bro. Get mad at your mom. She named you Cum Shot.
Thank you, Kobe.
Hey, Kobe. How you doing, mate? Henry Ford once said that a best friend is somebody who brings out the best in them. And tonight, we kind of saw that in a similar backwards sense of the phrase. So how much more heart and drive did Masvidal give you as opposed to fighting anybody else?
Not much more. I took this off the couch, man. I was in Aspen, Colorado when the UFC called for me to take this fight, and I was skiing the slopes, not even training. I was going to take a little bit of time off after the fight in Madison Square Garden. I had such a big chip on my shoulder, and I know Usman was going to be out for a while with his hand surgery, so I was like, I didn't think I was going to get a fight. And so I had like a 4 or 5 week training camp, and this is what I did. Just imagine when I'm going to get an 8-9 week focused training camp, specific game plan for who I'm going to compete against. It's not going to be close. These guys are going to start getting finished. But the beauty of what I did tonight is there's no luck. There wasn't like a fluke knockout. It wasn't, you can't say, he got a lucky knockout. What would have been if it would have kept going? I completely dominated that guy from start to finish. I'm the best fighter in the world, pound-for-pound champ, America's champ, people's champ, Donald Trump's favorite fighter, and the king of fucking Miami.
Hey, Colby, great victory, man.
Schmo, thanks, buddy. I appreciate you.
Question for you, because when Dana White came in here, he didn't know what was next. How do you envision the pathway to getting another crack at the welterweight strap?
Yeah, I got to get back to work. I'm completely injury-free. I'm healthy, so I want to fight in July. I think that's a perfect timeline to get back in there. And I think what's next is Dustin, man. He said he's on site, He said, we're going to jail, this and that. So let's fight, man. He said it's Bolkin season. He wants to come up and fight Nate at 170. He don't have a fight. Nate's fighting Connor. So there's no other fights for Dustin. He needs to come take this losing paycheck just like his boy George just did.
When he talked to former President Trump again, what do you think that conversation's going to sound like?
It's going to be a great conversation, man. Mr. 45, President Trump, greatest living American and greatest president in history, man. The things he did for this country, all you liberals out there that say he didn't, look at inflation, look at our open borders. Our fucking country's going to shit right now without him. So we need him back in 2024, Trump 2024, and he's going to come back and make America great again.